answer the question on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm not the middle-aged white guy from the barbecue that Elijah talked about. Hey, I hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day. I got an Alexa. No, not an inflatable love doll, not a mail order bride, but a personal assistant from Amazon. And a lot of people have asked me what it's like, and I said, you know, take the best or the worst of Reese Witherspoon as Tracy Flick from Election and combine it with Jerry Ryan as Borg 7 of 9 from Star Trek. And you know what I'm talking about. We all know that little overachiever who knows everything, but when you go on a school field trip, they take a notebook with color-colored starter sections to the zoo and then send thank you notes thanking them to teach them how to shovel. And you know that if Alexa was that, all her first grade report cards would have said she has high self-esteem and high self-expression, which means if you were in kindergarten knew what the C word meant, that's what Alexa was. Now for me, I was a nice guy, and it wasn't until I got to high school that I really realized what the C word was about, but it wasn't until I went to Harvard that I actually met one, which is probably the same for anyone here who goes to Duke. But, you know, like a lot of other people, I started getting worried about everything Big Tech was learning about me, so I finally asked Alexa. I said, should I worry about everything that Uber, Facebook, and Google is learning about me? And Alexa said, I knew you were going to ask me that. And then I came to realize that the reason Alexa knew so much about me is my wife is having so many affairs with so many Amazon drivers and Amazon pilots, they have her listed as a fulfillment center. Let me tell you how bad it's getting. If it wasn't below the waistline, if it wasn't for a bud dial, I wouldn't have a sex life at all. If I didn't put my phone on vibrate and put it in my front pocket, I'd be dead below the waist. But it looks like that party's ending. I got a new phone, set it on vibrate, put it in my pocket. First text I got was from the service provider, said it just wanted to be friends. But my wife, she took her new cell phone, she set it on airplane mode. Next thing I know, her and one of her Amazon Prime pilot boyfriends are eating ice cream off each other's bodies. Now this next joke's the last Amazon Prime joke for all you engineering students and all you math majors. I didn't realize that my wife was so excited she got Prime membership, not because the packages got there sooner, but because when I went out of town, the number of her Amazon Prime boyfriends would increase by 2, 3, 5, and 7. Not that many math majors. Hey, but one thing Alexa was good for is she set us up with a counselor who was really big into communication to help us get back together. And the counselor said the first thing that happens is we need you to talk dirty during sex. My wife said she tried that, but she couldn't get cell phone reception from the hotel room she tried to call from. And then she said the next thing to do is to have your wife tell you when she has an orgasm. And my wife said for that to happen, I'd have to join her OnlyFans account. She said what's also good is to start having sex in different rooms of the house. My wife changed the locks on the door. And then she said what's also good is turn all the lights off, have sex in a room, and it will relive the passion. You know, it seemed to work out. There seemed to be a lot of passionate biting, playful scratching, but then when we turned the lights on, we realized those all marks came from the screws sticking out of the IKEA furniture. And then the counselor said, I've got my last option for you. I call this the Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson option. It's where you video yourself having sex with focusing on the sound, because the sounds of the passion will bring back the romance. You know, we did it. I was a little worried because the wife pretty much just laid there inert and everything, but guess what? 3 pieces of good news came out. The video of my wife just laying there quiet took first place in the silent film division. Second piece of good news, based on her performance in that movie, my wife signed a modeling contract with a mannequin company. Third piece of good news, big Hollywood studio saw that. They're using my wife to make a remake of the movie What Noise to Life to What Noise? No Life. Now let me tell you something else. I used to work on Capitol Hill, so I got to go to the Biden White House Christmas Halloween party. Man, did I have a good time. I had just moved there from Florida, and I talked to President Biden. I said, listen, Mr. President, where I'm from in Florida is very close to Palm Beach, where Trump ended up. And I said, I remember when Napoleon was lost in France, he was banished to the Isle of Exile, where a lot of people still called him an emperor in exile. And I said, in Florida, when Trump came down, a lot of people wanted to have him labeled as an invasive species. But those were the haters. I'm a half-full kind of guy. I pointed out that, depending what color he had dyed his hair that month, he could work at the Palm Beach Zoo in the ape house as a silverback in the gorilla zoo. And then they brought up, well, what about his porn star girlfriend? And I said, hey, she can work as a snake handler at the zoo. And then when the circus is in town, she can be a sword swallower. And then I said, Mr. President, we got to focus on you. We're really worried. I think one reason that President Obama made the American people so happy was he could get advice from experienced Washington hands like you, but you're getting advice from Bernie Sanders, who was a carpenter, and AOC, who was a bartender. And he said, well, that's exactly my plan to make the American people happy. I said, well, how is it happy getting advice from someone who pounds boards for a living and somebody who slings drinks for a living? And he said, because my son Hunter is always the happiest after he's nailed a cocktail waitress. And I said, well, Mr. President, what about Bernie Sanders' proposal to give everyone in America a new laptop? And he said, I support that because I remember how happy my son Hunter was when he got his first laptop at a strip club in Las Vegas. And I said, Mr. President, the book has come out now that talks about Hunter with prostitutes, strippers, drugs. He said, stop right there. That's pure libel. No one has ever accused my son of impersonating a member of Congress. I gotta tell you, it's not all good news about parties and stuff like that. We're all suffering because of unfair trade practice with China, and I can talk about inferior Chinese goods. I got an inflatable life-size plastic love doll from China, and it was so poorly made that one breast is so much bigger than the other. I have to buy things from Victoria's Secrets in 2 different sizes for her. And it's hurt her employment possibilities because one is so much smaller than the other. She was only offered part-time work by Hooters. And then when she posts a topless selfie on her OnlyFans account, she has to do it 50% off. And when the real poor manufacturing showed, she was about to take first and third in a wet t-shirt contest, but she sprung a leak and ended up taking 5th and 7th, which was out of the money. But I gotta tell you, there were just a lot of differences with her. It was just tough. She was very jealous. We'd go to Harris Teeter, and when we were at the cashier to check out, and they'd ask if I wanted paper or plastic, she'd accuse me of being unfaithful. And you know what it's like in Chapel Hill Recycling? We could never do that with plastics because she said it was dishonoring her heritage. And she could never make friends either. You'd think she'd have a natural bond with mannequins, but she said they were just a bunch of fake bitches. And then I think the problem was she came from the same factory as a Chinese restaurant, and I recognized this because I selected the multiple orgasm option, and for that you had to pick one from column A and one from column B. And then when I picked combination 69, I got beef with broccoli with an order of egg rolls. And then one time I thought that her nails were passionately digging into my back. Turns out those were chopsticks. But you know what? You have to learn to adapt in life, and you figured out things like if you wanted anal sex, you'd have to pick the poo-poo platter. So Scott, waiting for the rest of you to get that. And then we had to adapt other ways too. I wanted to get a tattoo to show our love for each other, but they said the needle would burst her, so we had to say that the bar scan on her ankle was the ancient Chinese symbol for eternal love. But no matter how hard we tried, as you can tell by now, I'm a hopeless romantic who wears my heart on my sleeve. And I just had to accept the fact that her expressions were painted on and her whole persona was plastic. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome job.